the Post Millennial, Elizabeth Warren confirms Zohran Mamdani's message is the Democratic message. Senator Elizabeth Warren joined New York City mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani on I think that means Wednesday, saying that the candidate's socialist platform is the Democratic message. When someone stands up and says, I will lead this city by making it more affordable, and here are my plans, real plans, plans to deliver on childcare, plans to deliver on housing, plans to deliver, we're going to experiment. We're going to try things on groceries. That is the Democratic message. Warren joined Mamdani at the DC 37 Union Building to express support for his universal childcare proposal, per the New York Post. For me, New York City is the place to start the conversation for Democrats on how affordability is the central issue, the central reason to be a Democrat, and that delivering on it in meaningful, tangible ways that will touch working families is why we're here. See, whether or not people want to admit it, the idea of affordability is something that's going to resonate with young people because they can't afford stuff now. So even though this is the policies that he's actually talking about are horrible, they're policies that will take New York backwards. They're going to destroy investment. They're going to probably destroy people's ability to actually get food. If you have, municipal grocery stores, they're going to end up with empty shelves because there's other places where you can get eggs. They're not going to be able to compete, and they're going to have to try to affect the other grocery stores to be able to compete. These are all, the policies like rent control are terrible. They end up making the places that people have rent control, they make those places into slums because nobody wants to invest to fix those places when things break down. They're all destructive policies, but when they're sold to the electorate as this is to make things more affordable and the electorate cannot afford things, they're going to say, yeah, that's a good deal for me. I mean,
I agree. And they would, these people like AOC, they don't even want you to work. I remember this just reminded me of that time, was it Amazon moving into her district and she voted it away?
Yeah.
Right. And that was going to bring in a ton of jobs, but this will be more appealing. I'm sure there were people who were very mad about that in that district.
Yeah. People in her district.
Right.
Yeah.
They were yelling at her, right?
They were pissed.
Yeah. Yeah. But
here's the, sorry.
No, go for it.
No, but here's the thing, and I truly predict, and having lived in New York many, many years at this point and seen so many of these policies actually come into play, I think a lot of people are predicting, if he wins, everyone's going to leave. Well, first of all, most everybody who's going to leave already left. Like most people anybody who's still there has to be there. I mean, that's the only reason for it at this point. I generally think these policies are harmful, and anybody who lives in New York long enough is going to realize that they're not going to get anything for free. They're not going to be able to overcome the incredible rent problem that they already have in New York. And I'm sorry, but $15 an hour is not a living wage. So I'm not sure what world you live in. And coming from the restaurant industry, 15 years and most of it in New York, that was extremely harmful. And the result was that most people lost their jobs, not that they actually were able to afford their rent.
Some of the waitresses in Manhattan do all right. And now with the tips, maybe. I wonder how the tip thing's going to help them.
Except they don't, because there's only half of the amount that they used to be, and they don't get tipped because the service is terrible, because there's not enough people on the floor, because they have to pay people benefits, they have to pay people these exorbitant minimum wages. Restaurants operate on this sliver margin.
I knew people who were working in restaurants and hotels, and those hotels were taken to give in to illegals.
Yeah, exactly.
They lost their jobs, and these guys got debit cards.
Most of the restaurants that I worked for in New York lost their property because of that. They were all in hotels. It was Danny Meyer. This is very famous. He had Mylino and Marta and the Redwood Hotel and the Gramercy Park Hotel, and both of those restaurants are gone because of that. Not because of the pandemic, but because of migrants in the hotels.
Insane.
So these are what the policies actually cause.
Yeah, and I can't wait for when, not that I want, because Trump's the guy, he should be Caesar, back to the radical policies. But when Trump's out of the way, I can't wait for the knife fight in the Democrat Party between the DSA and the old stock Democrats, so to speak, because there's going to be one side has all the money and then the other side has all the passion, and it's going to be so fun watching this. It's going to be delicious.
So Ellie, back to that point that you were making about, the businesses leaving. Do you foresee, if Mamdani does win, and it's looking like he's going to, do you foresee New York becoming like Detroit? Is it possible for New York City to be hollowed out like that? Because I can imagine, a lot of people, I know you made the argument that, the people that can leave have already left. I I don't know that I believe that. I think there are a lot of people that wanted to pay more because it made them feel good. A lot of wealthy people, on the Upper East and West Side that have nice apartments around Central Park and stuff, or nice condos. And those people, if the government starts actually going after their savings, saying, you've got this unrealized gain, unrealized, or taxes on unrealized gains or whatever. I think that those people will be like, okay, now this is too much for me. And they might start leaving. And do you foresee a possibility?
It's possible. I think that it's hard to compare it to Detroit, which really lost its soul because of the death of the American-made automotive industry. So that really is kind of difficult to compare.
Couldn't you conceptualize like the financial industry saying, we don't need to be here?
So much more than, I think much more likely in this scenario.
They don't have factories.
Much more likely in this scenario is that they're going to elect Mamdani, and then they're going to realize what they've done, and the buyer's remorse is going to result in a massive pendulum swing long before he has the chance to rot that city to its core. Yeah. People understand that New York is New York. It's the heart and soul of media. It's the heart and soul of news and politics.
But if it's young people that don't have any money and don't have anything to lose, are there enough older people with money and with things to lose that would vote against those people to say, okay, we actually have enough influence? Do you think there's enough?
I think that the young people are going to lose interest in this.
Yeah.
I think that the worst thing that could happen to the Democratic Party right now is Zohran Mamdani.
Yeah.
I think that him winning this election is going to show everybody exactly what they're playing with. It's going to reveal every card that they've been trying to use, and it's going to be an enormous problem for them.
And New York City also has like a really transitory population. So the under 35 crowd right now, completely different from what the under 35 crowd was 20 years ago. So the amount of cultural changes that are going to occur with young people in New York City in the next 5-10 years when that churn happens. I mean, like, I think the average New Yorker I saw a stat, and it was the average New Yorker under 35 lives there for like 4.5 years. Yeah. It's like the Zohran voters are going to be gone in 5 years anyway.
I also feel like New York City is capable of dying, coming back. Like I think of how it was in the 70s, and it was a war zone.
More times than that. Yeah.
Way more times than that.
Yeah.
So there's always, I think, hope for that place. Maybe Trump will be mayor.
Yeah, and
after all this.
funny. I spend so much time complaining about it, in print, not in podcasts and stuff, and it's like I could live there again. I like it. I mean, it is what it is. It's New York. I have no interest in going to Detroit. I'm sorry if anybody's.
Detroit
even
could
like
be awesome.
Chicago's staying on its feet, even with like 2 back-to-back like full-blown like communist like low IQ like people.
Yeah, they got rid of what's her face and then got somebody.
Yeah, they got rid of Beetlejuice and brought in.
If New York City descends into violence more, that might make people move. Do you think?
Yeah, I think that's really the thing is the safety issue. And most of the people that I know who left during the pandemic, I know a lot of people who were conservative media who left, but more specifically, people left because they had kids and they were just afraid that this was not a good place to have them anymore.
We were getting threatened to have our heads chopped off on the subways with our baby stroller.
Not
from Brooklyn to Harlem.
People just running around with machetes threatening to chop your head.
Yeah,
but even
good times.
Like the suburbs in and around like Connecticut, New Jersey, still growing a lot. So it's like even the suburbs in and around New York City are still dependent on New York City. So even if there's a capital flight from New York City itself, a lot of that will just land in Westchester, Bergen.
It would have to be a generation of Marxist communism in that city to get to the point that you described. I mean, I think it is on the table, but I predict that it'll self-correct long before that.
I mean, we're seeing we're seeing now where San Francisco had much more sensitive industry, and now they're kind of coming to their senses a little bit. They're electing more moderate candidates, and it's like, and they're gonna probably be fine. To some degree, because this is America and there's just a lot of capital in America. It would take a lot to end up in a Detroit situation for a city of the magnitude of New York City. So it's gonna, probably like you said, you probably will. The New York Post is gonna have some really good headlines the next 2 to 3 years.
Oh yeah, my favorite New York Post headline from the city is "Headless body in a topless bar." That's a great one.
That's really good.
It's a classic.
Yeah, I know they have a table at the New York Post and they're just sitting around just like, bang. Did it again, dude. Well done.
They do. I mean, that's not a fantasy. That's like legitimately the news.
Well, they have like there's got to be like one table just in charge of giving a different name to a criminal every single
there's
time.
headline writers. Like they literally don't write copy. They just write headlines.
It's an art form.
Rabble rousers. It's like they're trying to come up with as many names as possible. I love it.
I mean, headlines and what's going to get a click is one of the most important currencies that exist in the online.
Well, in 2025, I mean, there's a reason this.
I mean, how much?
I don't think the Post is even worried about headlines or making money. I think they just want to perform art. I think it's just art.
You are so.
It's all performance.
You're so full of
it's a
it.
gift to America. Here you go. We're losing money. This is for you.
In fairness, they can't be making money on print anymore, and they're still like the number one circulator of actual physical copies. So it's got to be the art. Yeah.
It's a room full of just patrons. It's beautiful. It's a very beautiful thing.
Dude, they literally make money on their their web games, right? On like their browser games. Isn't that where like there's stuff that you can buy on Play Store? Isn't that where?
Oh, is it?
They make most of their money. I thought that's where they made most of their money. I don't know, but
Yeah, like New York Times probably just like propped it by Wordle at this point.
yeah, exactly. Like, they have
Totally
to make money
is.
on
Yeah.
Or the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah.
New York Times is
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, look,
Funded by.
there's the Communist Party or the New York Times has been run by the Communist Party since the 30s.
yeah. Got him some Pulitzers.
What was his name that was lying about the Soviet Union?
I always forget his name. He went over
Durante?
there. William Durante.
William Durante
Yeah, he
was
went over
the
there
one-
and didn't write about. He basically said there was no famine happening.
Yeah, he's I've seen the future, and it's working.
They're
or
dieting. It's not a big deal. It's called intermittent fasting. Like,
something. It's nutrition. It's going to be great in 100 years. You're going
Here's
to
a
see.
Pulitzer.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know that I'm as optimistic as you guys about New York City, because I think that the population is going to end up, if like hypothetically, if Mamdani wins, he institutes these policies, and then they don't work. And I think that only radicalizes people more. Like the most important thing for Donald Trump is to have economic policies that work. Everybody, you hear a lot of people making noise about, about the Epstein list. You hear a lot of people making noise about Israel. You hear a lot of people making noise about, there haven't been people arrested yet. He hasn't done enough to clean the swamp, blah, 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 blah. The reason that he got elected was because he was going to do good things for the economy. And that's what people heard when they said, we're going to deport illegal immigrants, right? They elected him because he was going to deport illegal immigrants, and people translated that in their heads to, I will be able to find jobs and better jobs and more jobs for Americans. It's economics. So if his economic policies don't pan out, that means that it's likely that someone like an AOC, or not that he could win because he wasn't born here, but like a Zohran Mamdani, someone with those kind of policies could win the presidential election in 2030 or whenever the next one is, I forget. But yeah, like I feel like the failures of this particular administration, or the failures of a Mamdani administration, only help to feed the radicals. It doesn't mean that people are going to say, no, we have to go back to the ways that have actually worked, because the young people and people that are upset now don't believe those ways ever worked.
I think, okay, going down your path, I see that possibility, because in the left, especially in the younger generations, widespread nihilism. So a bad economy and suffering might just make it part of their DNA. Be like, this is helping. This is we have to self-sacrifice.
Because people right now, the people that think that leftist policies are a good idea, they look at this world that we live in, and they don't see that capitalism is what built it. They think that it just is, right? If you talk to a kid that's got favorable opinions of communism or whatever, he doesn't think, communism might be okay, but it's capitalism that's gotten us here. It's capitalism that's raised basically everyone on Earth out of abject poverty. Like they're in 2030, there will be no one left on the planet that lives on less than $2 a day, right? And it's not socialism that's produced that. It's not at all. It's capitalism, but they don't see that. And you try to tell them that, and they're not hearing it, because believe me, I'll get on X and I'll argue with anybody, and I'll be like, this is what's going on. And to hear them talk, they don't understand, or it doesn't compute to them that this world that we live in with all this abundance and the fact that you can use your phone to order DoorDash and have it brought to your house and then pay for it with Klarna, like all that stuff is because of capitalism. Not that Klarna's a good idea. It's a terrible idea.
Paying for DoorDash with Klarna, you have a lot of problems.
It's a horrible idea.
That's awesome.
But the point is, like, all of that is because of capitalism, and they don't understand that. They think, no, capitalism is why my life is bad. Capitalism is why things are hard. Capitalism is why I don't get to do the things that I want to do, even though, like, the things that they want to do don't exist in the absence of capitalism. And it's something that you see on the left a lot. People on the left love to produce these memes that say, 50 gorillion people died of capitalism because they didn't have clean water and they didn't have medicine and they didn't have food and they didn't have this. And it's like all of the things you're talking about, they don't get without capitalism. And they just assume that medicine and technological advances and all of this stuff happens in the absence of capitalism, and it doesn't. So I don't know that they understand the world they live in. The foundation is markets and liberty.
It's been on purpose. That's why things like the Cultural Revolution have to destroy history so they can rebuild you. You're born again into this fake religion of Marxism to destroy, to rebuild this utopia. And like, it's not to say that capitalism has massive flaws, but it's still right now what we got. And when I'm like, what you're saying is that's exactly what I mean by them subconsciously embracing capitalism. They're taking part in all of it, but they've been force-fed this idea of like no family, no like real work, no legacy, no beauty. So their suffering is part of their policy.
Yeah.
Policy.
But it's like, too, it's like the right has invested so much money and time into like media promoting capitalism and free markets for the last 50 years. And like there's been pretty much no fruit. And then Trump comes along. I don't even know if he's ever mentioned the word capitalism once. He's just like, we're going to make deals. It's going to be great. Like we're going to have a huge building in New York with my name on it. That's what people want to hear. People want, like, you know how they get, like, I don't think he's ever explained like Keynesian model before his entire life. He's like, he wants to make a deal.
Yeah.
And that it's like young people just need to believe. And if you get really into the weeds on this, like Zohran isn't getting up there explaining like people are going through his website and looking at all his policies and their like brains working. They're like, why is it, this doesn't even work? This doesn't compute. It's like, because it doesn't matter. It's about the vibes. You have to sell. Americans are a vibes-based people. You have to sell the vibe. So the right can't like overcorrect and start getting really into like economics textbooks and stuff, because that's what, like, not going to say any names, they've been doing for years and it's not working.
So then if vibes are how you sell people on something, how do you make young people understand?
Trump's done it. So I mean, Trump crushes with young men because it's awesome. Because
I'm going to push back on that. Trump crushes with young men because the Democrats hate young men. If Trump wasn't the only option, I don't think Trump would be as popular with young men. The option is Donald Trump, or we hate you and hope you die.
No, because when Trump's not on the ballot, Republicans do terribly, because I think young men love Trump. I mean, they hate Democrats because, they, like you said, they
stay home.
They're the AHR, but like Trump just provides something that just connects. Like, I've never found an 80-year-old man relatable in my entire life until Donald Trump.
I agree with you, and I think that if you look at the last election results, it's clear that, Trump didn't win the popular vote and the Electoral College because the Democrats screwed up so badly. They did, but he also won because he had a message that resonated. There was a little bit of column A and a lot of column B. But I think it's really important. And you said something that I really want to go back to, which is the religion of socialism and Marxism. And that is what's working so well for the left right now, is they've created this sort of cult vibe, and it's very, very attractive. Yep. It's the same thing, the trans flag with all the colors. You can be in our club. You're in the cult. You can wave the colors. You can wear the badge. You've got this. And that is very difficult to break into. And it's the same problem that Europe is dealing with having extremists living in their countries and having neighborhoods that are just been taken over. You can't compete with the ideology. The ideology is strong. So I'm not sure what the answer is there.
Calling it a religion is really hitting the nail on the head. Look, it gives if you're a young, say you're a young white guy, right? And you've been told all your life, since you were little, you've heard, even if you're not told, you just hear, right? Just you live in this society where you hear white men are bad, boys are toxic, blah, 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 blah. And then you find out that if you just like guys, or if you decide that you want to be a woman, you can. And it's literally a way for you. It's a way out for you. And you just have to swallow the ideology whole. It's I can imagine that it is incredibly attractive for people that are awkward, that can't find their way in life, and at a time when you're going through puberty or about to go through puberty. If you're not the most masculine dude, if you're not a dude that's able to assert himself, that doesn't feel like he's a winner, which, I mean, when you're a teenager, who does?
Sure.
That kind of ideology, that possible way out is incredibly attractive.
But it's crazy to see how that ideology is spread to just beyond the young group, because there's parents who are willing to sacrifice their children for that idea, like to mutilate your child.
Mostly
that's
women,
a death cult.
Yeah.
But there's guys too, effeminate dudes.
That's
the dudes end up joining and being a part of it. I mean, look at the Kardashians, Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner.
You say Bruce. You can say Bruce.
Bruce, whatever. Bruce, like he won at life, won gold medals, was on he was the guy on the Wheaties box, right? Yep. And then he's like, my daughters are hotter than me.
Yeah.
And he's like,
have you actually seen? There's I never watched the Kardashians, but have you actually seen the clip where he is explaining to his daughters that he's going to become a woman? And they're hysterical, and not in a good way. I mean, it's a really sad scene. I mean, and now you have to think about this. He's been Caitlyn Jenner now for a long time. But before that, he was Bruce, and he was this Olympian, and he was, like you said, winning at life. But this was something that was so difficult for his family. And my immediate thought was who's helping this man? There's just, I mean, it's just such a sad thing that clearly he's just going through it and destroying his family to get to that end. And
thankfully that family has good access to plastic surgeons.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not
that good.
Not for him. It didn't work so well for Bruce. But the other three are cloned new versions.
Yeah, you need to take it back into the garage. Wrench on a little more.
Kris Jenner looks great. All right.
Yeah. That's adrenochrome.
That's just an objective truth.
That is the undercurrent of left-wing thought. It's an attack on beauty. And for example, if you're a young person, what is more beautiful than having a child, extending your bloodline?
Yep.
So of course they're going to try and push homosexuality onto you because it nukes your bloodline. Same thing with transgenders. You're taking Bruce Jenner, I'm not going to call him beautiful, but you're taking a specimen, right? A physical specimen. This is peak human performance. And to rip him down and destroy him and hot swap and weld on some, skin on his
bolt-ons.
And he's got a grenade blast on his arm. I mean, what is more horrifying than that? And that's what they're trying to push. They're trying to destroy something that's the pinnacle of humanity, which is an Olympian.
And that's how they redefine beauty, because to them, that's beauty.
I don't even know if they're trying. I don't think they're even trying to redefine beauty. I think they're trying to normalize ugly.
Yeah. Raise ugliness.
You see it everywhere.
That's good.
You go to Boston, you see their city hall. That's not. They don't think it's beautiful. They know it's hideous.
Once you do these surgeries on people, you take away their ability to change their mind, because now they've become lifelong patients where they're going to have to constantly address this, and you can't undo it. I mean, and you listen to these just harrowing stories from detransitioners about what they've gone through and the type of support they got from people who swore a Hippocratic oath to do no harm and did exactly that. I mean, it's really,
to your point, one of the things the left talks about, you hear for the phrase center the margins, right? And they say that the people on the margins should be made the center. That doesn't work for society at all, right? You have to have a society that focuses on the majority of the people and says, this is how we're going to have our society organized. And if you want to live on the margins, that's acceptable, and in a society like ours, we can make room for people to live on the margins, but that doesn't mean that we have to center them. All government policy should focus on families, normal, and I'm using the term normal intentionally, normal men and women married together, having kids, hopefully 3, because that's what's normal. And that's what you need to reproduce your society. And the idea that it is good for the government to promote things that will not help produce more of the society is ridiculous. It's literally counterproductive to the society. Like, why are you going to say, oh, we're going to make special accommodations for trans people, for gay people, for non-binary people, whatever. We're going to make special accommodations and center those people in our policy making when those people are not going to reproduce the society. Right? They're just not going to do it. I mean, it's the most counterproductive thing a government can do is to say, we're going to take the people on the margins and center them. No, you focus on the people in the center and make sure that normal families, again, using the phrase normal intentionally because normal means man, woman, kids, normal families have what they need to be successful. Yeah. And that being the idea that that's a hateful perspective, which is what, I mean, there are people that would clip this and say, Phil is a bigot for saying that. I don't care if you're going to call me a bigot for saying that normal people are normal. Yeah. But the word normal has a meaning, and that's what the government should be focusing on doing its best to hold up and support. And if you want to have a life that's on the margins, it's okay. There's nothing that we're going to stop you, but you don't get to be the center of attention. You can be on the margins, you can have your friend group and whatever, but the government is going to look at people that are normal and say, this is what we want to see more of, because this is what produces more people. Even if only for the fact that it produces more tax base. But
attacking the normal and embracing the fringe is how they collapse the society.
Yes.
Which is what they want. So they can flood it with their insanity.
Yep. I mean, and I think gays are like probably better off if they're on the fringe, because that's when like you think like the 70s and 80s, like they're making good music, like there's good art coming out, and then we like put them in the center and you get like RuPaul's Drag Race or whatever.
Barack Obama.
You get Obama. I mean, it's like, it sucks. It's like, I don't know, maybe like, I don't even know if they're happy being in the middle of everything.
They may have overshot it when they realized like the 25-year-old Republican man is like the punk rock version of 25. Like,
like the coolest gay guy in the last 30 years is like George Santos. He was like a rock star.
Yeah, now he's getting street cred.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's a gangster.
Too much time in jail. Yeah.
Sweaters is tough. Sweater is the new like orange jumpsuit.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.